What's up, everybody? Check it out. It's the Strength Solutions Podcast. You're on Apple and Spotify. Also, if you're looking for us on YouTube, you can subscribe down below and leave the link there. Then, if you're looking for a website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Email strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Then, if you're looking for us on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, it's Strength Solutions Podcast. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, we got a great podcast today. And you know, we got this video sent to us on Instagram, and it's by this lovely lady, Asia. And it talked about this doctor having on there, and he's like, legs are the most important thing you need to do when it comes to longevity, 2 to 3 times a week. And, you know, you got to keep them going for your bones, you know, because people die if they fall and break a hip.
Yeah.
And I was like, I agree, but I also disagree with that.
Yeah, it's a fair statement, right? He's not inherently wrong, but I think it comes down to these things where we're always like, it's not totally wrong, but it's also not totally right. Because we could also say, you know, to your point that you were making when we were discussing it, like you could say this about kind of any body part, right? Mm-hmm. Any area, any muscle group, anything like that. Now, are the legs main portion? Are they very important? Yes, but what about the chest, right? What I always think about lat pull down for my older clients, because I think of them like, let's say they're on the ground and they need to pull themselves up by a counter or something, right? Like the same concept. And so I think that all sort of aspects are important, right? Now, I guess if you had to sit there and be like, choose one, right? Okay, maybe I would go legs, maybe I would, whatever, it depends. Or there's other exercises you can do, you know what I mean? That would sort of nail the same kind of intent I think he was trying to get to.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, you're thinking about like actual functional stuff, right? I'm thinking about just everyday living. If you don't have the ability to grip, you lose your will to kind of live, right? And research will show this too. That's why grip is a good test in longevity as well. Yeah. Because when we lose the ability to do things for ourselves, it becomes an issue long term.
Wow, I've never even really thought of it like that.
And gripping is probably one of the most important things. Yeah. But then I'm going to be like, that's more important than legs. The problem is when we're watching social media, we start targeting, we need to get off of this or that, or this is the most important thing. Don't do this. Honestly, our bodies are meant to do a lot. Humans are complex, right? Whether it comes into relationships, friendships, just family, everything we do is very complex. There's a lot of nuance. You can make janitorial work very complex. Yeah. There's good janitors, there's bad janitors, right? There's good doctors, there's bad doctors. Everything is so complex. So when we see these things on social media, we need to make sure we take it with a grain of salt, that there's truth behind it. And there's always truth behind a lot of things. But you got to understand there's other dynamics because we are human and it's very complex. And we're complex creatures, right? So, I mean, a perfect example of this is the way we communicate with our own partners. I may say something, but they interpret it a different way, but I meant it like this. Right. It should be that simple. Like I said this is what it means, but it doesn't mean that.
Right. Because everybody is going to look at it through their own lens, right? Their own perspective. Man, there was a famous quote. I think, someone told me it, but it has to do with sort of how everybody is going to see things the way that they see it through their life, right? Through their experience, through their everything. And so it just goes for not only fitness, like you're saying, but for every aspect of life. And we definitely need to stop always saying this is the best thing, this is the only way, this is the way it should be, etc., you know, and just be more open to all aspects. And in general, we could like bring this all the way down, like boil it down and just be like being consistent in the gym for 3 days a week. Yeah. Right. You know, that's the same sort of concept. My same sort of message gets across.
I mean, that's why I'm excited about starting this Fit Academy idea that we have and really educating people. And I think we need to look at fitness as, instead of being told what to do, let me show you how to think. Right. And I think that is the next step in human evolution. Just thinking beyond what's given to you, learning how to consciously apply something that's different. For example, people will be like, you need to do the landmine to help you out with this. Or, you know, a perfect example, I'm going to give you a perfect example here. PT. We're talking about, you'll see people say the rotator cuff exercises are worthless. Yeah. Yet they've been proven to help people out in the long term, right? Right. They're like, do these exercises instead. it's about teaching the body to connect at the end of the day. What do I need the body to do? And maybe the rotator cuff exercises are not good for this individual, but for the next individual, it may be a great exercise. You have to be able to adapt to the individual at the end of the day when it comes to fitness and health and in life, right?
Yeah. I was watching a video yesterday from that guy, Renaissance Performance, that I was telling you about the other day. And he was on a podcast too, talking about the deadlift and how the deadlift activates like so many different parts of the body, right? There's all these big, it's a huge compound movement. You're getting lots of activation all over in the upper back, the lower back, right? The grip, everything is kind of happening in it. So you could argue that the deadlift is, you know, the best exercise. Everybody should be deadlifting, and doing something like leg curls or whatever that is not as important or worthless also, right? But he was also talking about like progressions, whereas if I'm going to do a clean and jerk or a snatch, right, the deadlift is actually a regression from that, right? Yeah. And so it all sort of depends. So you might do a leg curl and you might say like, oh, that's a worthless exercise, you should be deadlifting. But we don't know, right? We don't know where that person is. We don't know what their goals are. So where sometimes accessory lifts may look like a waste of time, for some people, maybe that's what they need, right? Maybe it's a deadlift instead or whatever it is. But like you're saying, I think the idea that we have here where we're teaching people what they should think, how to think about lifting, all the different avenues and aspects of it, right, and different ways to move when you need it is really, really important.
Okay, I'm going to get into this because we had this protein video, and then I saw this dietitian comment on this trainer's thread about 1 gram per pound of body weight, right? And so when we only get a short amount of time and not talking nuance, we'll get comments like on our social media. You did a protein, right? You're talking about a gram per pound of body weight. Then you're like, RDA is really not enough for most individuals that are working out. Right. Then in the bottom, this guy talks about how you shouldn't even bring up the RDA. And if a gram per pound of body weight per pound of body weight, if someone's 300, it's 300 grams of protein. It's not very healthy for them. We know this, right? But it's a short video. This is the problem with like shorts and stuff like that is, look, we can't talk about it in nuance. This is why the whole video, this is why we're doing the podcast instead of short videos, so that we can talk about nuance. We know a gram pound of body weight is not good for someone who's 300 pounds and overweight. Yeah. We also know the RDA is bad, but give us some context and more nuance, and that's why the podcast is here. So when you're watching something on social media, they're going to have all those people bashing you at the bottom. Even this trainer that I saw in the thread, I was just like, if that dietitian wanted to help people, instead of attacking that trainer that she was talking to, she would have said like, yes, they want a gram per pound of body weight, but at their lean mass. Yeah. Also, I know what your message you're trying to convey here.
Why not add to the conversation, right? Like in the same aspect where maybe, we did a short video, hey, quick tip about protein, take this and just go. If you don't have a lot of time to go listen to the whole podcast about it, right? That person very easily could have pretty much gotten the same point across, but been at the bottom and said like, I just want to add that, this is important information too, like blah, blah, et cetera, whatever, and that would have added to the conversation. That would have added something positive to it instead of kind of going the opposite way and being like, you're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. You're dumb, Nathaniel. Yeah. You shouldn't have talked about that. You don't even know what you're saying. You know what I mean? Because I think at the end of the day, people just want to be right, and being online is an easy place because now it kind of makes me think about, what I talked about last week, where those two dudes were in the gym and one of them was not trying to help. He was trying to make himself feel better. Right. I think that's sort of what it comes down to here. They want everybody to be like, oh, this guy was so much smarter. They're wrong. Dietitian, same concept. Like, oh no, you need a dietitian. Don't listen to personal trainer. You know what I mean? They're trying to do something for themselves as opposed to trying to help out everybody who's watching. Oh, you missed something. Let me add this in, whatever it is. I don't know. It's just the way people kind of communicate, and it's just really stupid sometimes.
It's crazy, dude. Crazy. Yeah. So let's go into your weekend, bro. You had this trip in Galveston. Sewerage water. Yeah, no, I surfed there. You surfed? Yeah. No, tell me about it. Tell me a little bit.
It was a good trip, man. Actually, I did, the week before I was talking a whole bunch of crap about Galveston. I was like, water sucks. It's going to smell gross. It's going to be shitty. But it was actually a really good time. It was definitely nice to just like, in terms of vacation, it was super nice to get away. There's really good food there, man. Really good seafood. Like they definitely like caught shit and you could taste it. I was like, oh wow, this is like from today, I can tell.
Tasted like your mom. Yeah, I remember this when I came out of the
womb. The water was super brown, Yeah. And it wasn't, we like walked around on the beach for a second and it wasn't necessarily like dirty, but it's definitely just like not a nice beach full of sand.
I mean, that's the Gulf here.
Yeah, that's just the way it is, right? So, but it was a good time no matter what. But the main reason that we went was at this place called the Moody Gardens in Galveston. They have a museum, and they were putting on a event called Body World Prescription or Body World RX, whichever one you want to call it. Crazy event, man. So what they did is they had these human models, right? Human cadavers that they had done this long process, and afterwards they call them plastinates because they essentially turn the body into plastic. What? Yeah, so it's not frozen, it's not like embalmed, it's nothing like that. They literally do this process where they change it into plastic. And so they said that each, like especially the full body models, takes at least a year or more to go through the entire process of changing it.
Whoa, dude.
Posing, turning it into plastic, the curing process, everything like that. And I was like, what the fuck? So insane the amount of work that went into this. Dude, the models were incredible. I don't think I've ever seen the human body like displayed in that way. You could probably look it up. They don't allow you to take pictures when you're there.
Why?
Well, I guess they're trying to keep the privacy of it all because they're like humans, right? They're people. And they talk about it too. They're like...
You touched a little bit of dongs there?
There was a lot of penises. Yeah. A lot.
Were you comparing them?
Yeah. So mine's a little bit bigger than that one. I'm just cold right now. I just was in the beach. So.
Man, it's so cold in here.
Yeah. Is everybody else cold? And... crazy, man. You should look up one if anybody's out there and wants to see it. There was one model called the X Lady, and that was probably my favorite one. It's borderline art, dude. Like the way that they had it displayed, pulled apart. You could see all the working structures, everything like that, the way it was preserved. Incredible event, man. It'll be there, I think, from May last week until like January. So they're going to have it there for a long time. Oh, wow. It's funny because there was a lot of kids that were there, like little kids, and they were like, "We don't want to be here. This is weird." And like, I saw like a bunch of kids like crying, getting pulled out by their parents.
Why would you take your kids there?
So like, half of me, I was, thinking to myself that this definitely should have been an 18+ event, but then another half of me, thinks that everybody deserves to see the human body in the way that it works and displayed and things like that, regardless of age or whatever. But I can honestly say that it can be kind of graphic, like the way that they had it, like pulled apart or displayed and things like that. If you go in knowing that it is an actual human body, as a child, I can kind of imagine me like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, this is kind of creepy. That was a good model. There was another model of a 4-month-old fetus, dude. Oh, yeah. Fully intact. Like, you could see the skeleton inside and like the starting of forming of structures and things like that. Crazy. I don't even know how the hell they got that. And then the last one that I saw, that was the most like shocking.
They probably had to abort it.
Well, I don't know, because then I don't feel like it would have been intact in the way that it was, especially at such a young like stage.
Or like a mother who died and
right, or something like that. And so that was incredible too, just to see. And then another one was a model of the human hand, right? So it was a human hand, but it was just the circulatory system. So it was just like a web of like. Red.
That's cool.
Yeah. And what they had done is they had turned all the blood vessels into plastic and then essentially dissolved away the rest of the hand so that it was just left with like a shell of like the circulatory system. Insane. Dang. Dude. Insane. Yeah. And
that's so cool.
The one part that I wanted to bring up the most is that the biggest part of this whole thing was that it was a juxtaposition of healthy human bodies and unhealthy human bodies. Mm-hmm. So whether it was smoking or diabetes or dementia, right? Because they had the nervous system too. And dude, so many of the things, they had like these sort of little plaques that were there and talked about how many people experience diabetes or whatever it is, or the causes of it, et cetera. And then they would have like ways to prevent it, ways to do things now. Mm-hmm. Bro, the amount, everything, every single thing was like, eat healthy, exercise, and go to sleep. Those were like the answers for every single thing, dude. Wow. Dementia, obviously not things like lung cancer from smoking, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, clearly quit smoking. But it's like, they talked about, there was this one thing, especially in the diabetes area, where they were talking about like sugar and how in the American diet, at least, it's such a high part of a lot of like processed foods, things like that, etc. And so at the end of the little video, they were like, we need to work together now to, buy from smaller markets and whole foods and don't eat processed foods and etc. and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I think a little bit more about things. We both do, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm listening and I'm like, is this the answer? Probably. Is it realistic? I'm not sure. Because a lot of the people that do, take in processed foods or things like that, bagged, packaged things, are people who are in the lower socioeconomic level. Mm-hmm. We're not going to go here and pretend like Whole Foods isn't fucking expensive. You know what I mean? And we're not going to talk about getting foods like that.
I don't even think it's about the expensive part. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's more expensive. What I think is the quality of time that you have to do it, or have someone help you do it. Right? So a lot of times people who are lower income, they're traveling back and forward to work. Mm-hmm. They have a blue collar job. They don't have a lot of money. They're tired.
Right.
There's a culture around them that doesn't really have that. If you go to their grocery stores, it's a little bit different. So there's a little bit more hoops to jump through.
Right. Yeah.
Right? I think that it's more the environment thing that we talked about. I don't like saying it's more expensive, because in all reality, me and Amanda go buy fruits and vegetables, and from a nutritional value and all that stuff, you probably get more bang for your buck.
Yeah, that's fair. That is a fair statement to make. I think, like you said, it just comes down to environment and the way, I know a lot of people are going to leave there and see that and be like, oh, it's time to get, healthy and stuff like that. But then you're going to go and you're going to try and you're going to be like, oh, this is a lot harder, and it just kind of leaves you with that feeling of like, oh, why even try, And so, but it was an interesting event nonetheless. Very, very insightful. It was really, really cool to see that. I'm going to leave with one little snippet. During the nervous system part of it, there was like a web of the nervous system that they had like laid out with like the skeleton and stuff like that. It was crazy to see. This guy's there with his wife and 2 kids, and he's like, you see that nerve right there? When you start bothering me, that one right there. He's like, it just starts going up.
That's such a dad thing, dude. I know, dude. Oh God, that was the first thing I thought when you said it.
me and Camille were like hanging out in the back, like laughing, and the wife like turned around. She's like, oh my God. It's just like this moment, and I was like, that's so funny, dude.
Dude.
But a great event. If you get a chance, I would definitely go check that out for sure.
Yeah, dude. It's officially swimming season.
Oh yeah.
Was at the pool all weekend.
Uh-huh.
Met this guy.
Okay.
True hero, bro.
All right.
He was actually one of the first guys into Iraq.
Wow.
Doing jumping, making sure people were safe. He stopped some gold from getting into insurgents.
Whoa.
I saw a picture of him next to the rope of where Saddam Hussein was.
Dude.
Right, where he got hung. And dude, it was amazing to meet this man. It made me think, man, they should really have different veteran discount cards for veterans that do that actual stuff versus just pull back.
It's like, I feel like you should just never have to pay for anything ever again. You know what I mean? Just like you're you'd like.
I mean, dude, to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about going into buildings, how they would go into buildings, not sleeping for 36 hours, 48 hours.
Oh, dude.
Dude, just the amount of things, but you could tell this guy was a beast.
Yeah.
Even just, he's not as athletic as he was before, right? He had 10 surgeries and stuff.
Wow.
But you could tell by the way he moved that he knew how to move.
Yeah.
You know, you just tell when people are walking, because we do this as well.
Right.
You're like,
yeah, you can.
Oh, this guy's athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, dude. It was awesome. And it just made me think about there's a lot of things that we don't talk about that they do that are very quote unquote controversial, but we also think war is this nice thing and it's very messy.
Yeah.
And to see him go through that stuff
is too, it kind of makes me think sometimes. Today has been a day where I've been very grateful for my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so it makes me think too, you're saying, dude, that guy's been awake for days on end. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we sit here and complain oh, I didn't
get my DoorDash order right.
I couldn't sleep last night, or I only got 6 hours of sleep. Okay, dude, shut up. And it also, it makes me think too that on my vacation I was telling you about gyms and hotels. Yeah. So we had a hotel. It was kind of like the one that we stayed in Galveston when we were just there for that little bit. Yeah. I want to say it was the exact same one. I'm not sure. I think it really was. But we were there, and we walk in, and I was like, I want to see the fitness center here. They have to have a little gym or something like that. I was like, I just want to see what it is. I know it's gonna suck, but I want to see what it is. So we walk in there. I see the little room. It's like a fucking closet. It's got a treadmill, an elliptical, a bike, this weird machine thingy, and then there was another cardio machine over here. And I was like, look, man, this is what the masses consider a gym, right? This is what most hotels that in like a reasonable price range are gonna have. You know what I mean? A treadmill, whatever. And I was just like, the fact that like I would be happier if there was a squat rack and some dumbbells and a bench, right? Like that is more of a gym to me than a treadmill, an elliptical, like. And I was just like,
you could go running outside. It's the beach.
You go, right? Yeah. And the thing is too that it's just that it comes down to this is what's considered fitness, right? This is what most people are going to consider a gym, a treadmill, right? Running for long periods of time, doing cardio, stuff like that. And I was like, the fact that this is acceptable and this is what most people do, I think is a big like sign, you know what I mean? Just that this is what is provided. Most people don't know what fitness is. Most people don't know what exercising really is, right? What they're supposed to be doing. And yeah, on vacation, you know what I mean? Some people are just gonna be like, I just need somewhere to move or whatever it is. And I also understand too, like, okay, you know, the hotel doesn't want to pay for fucking insurance if someone's going to go in there and hurt themselves because they don't know how to move. But it's a big problem. You know what I mean? The fact that
look at gyms, there's still mostly cardio equipment for the most part.
Dude, yeah, you walk into a gym, there's going to be, you know, it's going to be 75% cardio equipment and 25% lifting.
Now,
you know?
I will say this. It is changing. It's just taking time.
Fair.
You know, I noticed like you probably Crunch, you'll see how many squat racks.
Yeah.
There was probably one squat rack in the past that you would see.
Yeah.
Or two at a commercial gym. Now there's plenty of them.
Yeah. I will say Crunch is a little more on the 50-50 end. I still do think that there needs to be way more equipment and stuff like that. But, you know, it is what it is. But it just got me thinking because I was like, man, dude, like.
There's still a lot of tide change, man. I literally just finished training a guy and he did like endurance kind of CrossFit kind of workouts and stuff like that. And I'm teaching him how to strength train. He's like, dude, this is life changing. Like, now I know how to power through my body and move a little bit more. And like, you know, wow, this is different going through my feet and things like that. You know, it's just crazy and insane.
Right.
All right. Dude, you sent me this video about Ozempic babies.
Coming out all shredded, jacked.
All shredded. Like, they don't eat food.
10% body fat.
No, so people will. There's this lady who's like in her 50s, he said, right? Yeah. She got pregnant.
So what they're saying is that Ozempic has the ability, and they're just learning, right? Because it is a new drug, that it like interacts with birth control medication, right? And makes it less efficient. It has less workability.
Yeah.
And so this lady, you know, a lot of people, you know, you're in your 50s, right? And that's weird too, because she probably wasn't even on birth control. She probably at that point was maybe past her, like, you know, normal
like fertility,
right?
She's probably pretty close to menopause at this point.
Right. Yeah. And so this is kind of, I think they said this in the video too, that it's like, I'm like, wow, could this be like some sort of birth therapy, you know, fertility therapy?
Yeah,
like,
we still don't know a lot about these GLP-1 agonists. So.
Yeah, what it's doing, the cost to benefit, right? Risk to reward ratio and things like that. So it was a really weird video. And it is one of those things where it's like, okay, now we have to look out for something else, right? Because we haven't had these long-term studies, right? Where people are taking it for periods on end, years, right? Not coming off and staying on it at different ages and things like that. So we'll see what continues to happen as time goes on. So,
and then Food Lies had this like, if you don't need Ozempic, you just need to eat real food and all that stuff.
Like, it does the same thing.
And I'm like, okay, dude, I'm a guy who eats a lot of real food. Right?
Yeah.
So speaking of Ozempic, I started my first week of semaglutide.
He's also pregnant.
Woo! I'm pregnant. Yeah. But in all seriousness, dude, so I got to experience all this. And the reason I'm doing this is like research and experiment for others who want to do it.
Yeah. You said first week?
It's been my first week.
Okay.
The dosage was smaller than the actual Ozempic dosage that they recommend from my understanding.
Okay.
Dude, I'm always hungry. Last Thursday when I came in, remember, I told you like, no, I don't need to eat right now.
Yeah.
I don't feel it. And every time we come in for the podcast, I'm like, I need to eat.
Yeah, you're like ravenous.
Before today, I was like, I just need some water.
Yeah, you did say that. I heard you. Yeah.
Even though I've had one meal and one shake, dude, it is crazy, dude. So, you know, we've gone to Jersey Mike's before. So I just wanted to test it out. At Jersey Mike's, I usually get the giant sub. I eat it and I'm still hungry. Nathaniel knows because he's seen me.
I'm the same way.
Dude, I literally had the regular with Amanda yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like full satisfied.
Did you eat the whole thing?
Yeah, I ate the whole regular.
Do you feel... was it like less appetizing? Did you feel less enjoyment?
So I will say I still enjoy it right as of right now at the dosage. I'm going up a dosage tomorrow.
Okay.
I still feel like I enjoy food, but what I feel like it does for me, it takes away all the food noise. Like this concept of like me always thinking about food. What's for dinner?
Yeah.
What are we having later? I need to have this. I mean, I haven't really texted Amanda, hey, what's for dinner or anything. I will say this, like we're at the pool. I worked Saturday morning, went to the pool, middle of the day, had one meal, went the whole day until nighttime around 7 o'clock to order food. And I was fine.
Yeah, you weren't like
I wasn't
freaking
like
out.
Oh, I need to eat this. And even when I ate a little bit more because I was trying to get my protein in because I was like, I'm short protein right now.
Sure.
But I didn't like over consume.
Have you felt more tired? Have you felt it impact your performance in the gym at all?
I think I've eaten enough that my performance really hasn't suffered.
Okay.
But the B12 kind of really helps.
Okay.
During the middle of the day for me. So I take a B12 like little thing you put in your mouth, like a gelatin kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
It absorbs through your tongue. But dude, it is crazy. I have never felt satisfied or full ever. And I was telling Amanda, like, you've known me for so long that I would eat a big ass steak. Not even like 2 hours later, I want to eat again.
That's wild, man.
And that's why, like, when this guy says it from Food Lies, like, all you got to do is this. I think everybody has different receptors.
Yeah.
And I just happen to be a person who doesn't have that receptor to, like, shut the valve off.
And also the way that we eat now with, like, processed foods, things like that, the way that, like, in the body world thing, they were talking about, like, leptin and how it sort of, like, shuts that off, right? Mm-hmm. We're sort of trained now more to not have that, like, sensitivity, right, to it. So, yeah, could you fix that by eating like unprocessed whole foods for a period of time? Yes. You know, but I think the thing is that it's like the difficulty of it. You know, we just talked about how, you know, it's a little more challenging environmentally, right, to get those types of things all the time. So if we do have a way to where we can sort of bring down that, you know, the constant need for food in like areas where we need it, then why wouldn't we use it? Right now, do we still need to do things like exercise like you're doing, right? Do you still need to be eating the correct food? Yes, right. It doesn't give you a free pass. And I think that's where the problem is, right? Because most people see it as a free pass where they see a lot of things, right? I know people will take fat burners and be like, well, I could just eat whatever I want because it's just burn the fat. And it's not the same thing, right?
Dude, it's just, it's mind boggling. Like the change of like just not having to think about food. Like, for me, it's like life changing. I'm
thinking about food right now, bro.
I've never had this feeling in my life, dude.
Wow, dude.
It's insane. And I heard something really good on a podcast. This guy is like, this is an artificial solution to an artificial problem that we've created.
Yeah.
And so we can't change our environment like that, right? People are still buying these foods. This is what we have. It's going to have to be a slow change. And this is going to have to help facilitate this stuff as a tool. Now, am I saying everybody take it and recommend it? No. I mean, if you could try to do it naturally, right?
Right.
But it can help. And maybe you just need a low dose. Like if it was up to me, I would stay at this dose. Yeah. Because I feel like I could eat a lot and I don't get nausea. But I'm doing an experiment, so I'm going to go up in the dosage for the experiment.
Yeah.
But if you need to do it a little bit more, and then I think my response was quick. Amanda's response was slower.
Okay.
Right. So it's just different things, right?
I'm excited to see y'all's progress, man.
So, you know, he sent me this thing about Supersize Me and how it couldn't be replicated.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. You know what's crazy is people were writing in the comments below, like he was actually an alcoholic and these are the other things that people didn't talk about that were an issue. And it's crazy how one thing could change your mind on everything.
So everybody, I'm assuming, has heard of this movie called Supersize Me. It was a movie a while back now, at least like 20 years, where this guy only ate McDonald's for I don't even know how long.
I think it was like 30 days.
Yeah. And so then, he goes through all of these things of like, I think he's getting super unhealthy, right? Like that's the whole thing about like how shitty McDonald's is essentially. And, after a while he's like, I can't eat this anymore. I can't do it. But he ate it every meal, every day, all the time. Mm-hmm. And so they said that in a lot of other trials, people tried to do the same thing in other countries and stuff like that. And that they would do the same exact stuff that he did, 30 days, McDonald's only every meal. And that they couldn't replicate the same sort of like effects he had gotten from the same thing. Mm-hmm. So they had looked into it more, I guess. And like you said, people were saying that he was drinking a lot also, doing all these other things, right? I don't know, maybe he wasn't sleeping well, or maybe work is really stressful. There's all these other sort of aspects that play into gaining weight or getting worse health and things like that, right? And so I it's funny that I never even thought of that. Like, what else was he doing during that time? You just kind of see the movie and you're just like, wow, McDonald's is so shitty.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, fellas, if you want to make an extra $1,000 compared to your peers, you need to get an extra inch. You know what I mean? Extra inch of height.
Yeah.
Dude, did you see that?
That was weird, right? Yeah. I was like, I don't know, like this one.
So I like this one because there's truth to it. You know why? Because we treat people who are taller a little bit different than people who are shorter.
Yeah.
There's more doors that open and avenues that open.
Yeah.
Like,
same thing with attractiveness, right?
Attractiveness. It's just honest human behavior. And I wonder if it's $1,000 today, but before the gap was even bigger before.
Yeah. They did say in this article that it was $1,000 for both men and women, right? Both men and women got it. Now, here's the thing. I wonder if there's like a threshold to where
there probably is a threshold
where it's like, I wonder if guys can, will get paid $1,000 more up to, I mean, if you look at like the NBA or something like that, you could say up to any height. Right, they get paid exorbitant amounts of money.
That's where it gets complicated, right? We talk about nuance. What about like different fields? Like, does the NBA, was that part of the equation? Because that's a biased thing. All these guys are getting paid millions of dollars.
It's like a
and they're all tall, right?
Requirement, right?
Yeah. So like job per job, and it's the same thing when I feel like when they talk about the gender pay gap, is like, what is it job per job?
Job per job.
Not what is it total? What's the average? What is the actual gap job per job? If there's even a real gap.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that we'll take all this information and we go back to the top, right? Where we talk about, you got to talk about nuance. We can't talk about just this or that. And studies are all about this and that a lot of times, right? And if you're feeling lonely, there's a nasal spray out there for guys like Nathaniel who need oxytocin to help with loneliness.
This is crazy. So they just created this like nasal spray that you could stick up your nose. And
I thought you were going to say stick up your butt.
I mean, I guess you can do whatever you want.
It absorbs way better up there.
Depending on how lonely you are. And so they created this nasal spray that you can use, and it produces oxytocin in the brain to help with loneliness. That is the symptom that it's trying to improve. I thought it was super interesting, and it kind of like, oh man, I'll go conspiracy Nathaniel on this, but it kind of is weird that it comes around in a time where there's more disconnect and guys can experience relationship like things, or anybody really, right? Men and women can experience those relationship type things through virtual means. You know what I mean? Like with OnlyFans, stuff like that. I don't know if you heard about this. Have you heard about Replica?
What's that?
So Replica is an AI app where it creates an AI companion. So you create like this avatar, you say what you want, you can like do different things with them. And then you just chat to it like you would Chat GPT or any of those old AI systems where you would just like chat and it would try and talk back to you, right? Dude, people like had full on relationships with these things.
I believe it.
Yeah.
What's that movie?
So, Her.
Oh, yeah.
Men and women, okay, both had full-on relationships with these things. They were like, this is my husband. This is like my person. This is who I talk to every day. This is who I talk to in the morning. This is who I talk to at night. Like, this is my person. And so hold on, bro. So hold on.
Yeah.
And so now, recently, the company that owns Replica, I guess, like had gone through some of the data, et cetera, things like that. And of course, so
because you don't get oxytocin.
So you could also do sexual things. You could talk about, you could like sext with them, right? Now, recently they shut it down. They shut down the ability to have that sort of interaction with the chatbot.
Oh, wow.
And they also shut down a lot of like accounts and things like that because of like, I guess the content that they were talking about. Like some of it was like violent in nature, I guess, but some of it was just like sort of quote unquote relationship-esque. And dude, people were like, you like took my husband away. Like I don't have that like I would rather be dead now.
We are so disconnected
than have to go through life with this, you know, like without that exact like creation that I had, you know. And it's like to a point where it's fucking insane, dude. And where people are super lonely and they are looking for things like that. Now big pharma is like, you don't need to have a relationship. You don't need to go connect with people. You just fucking spray your nose.
This is insane.
It's crazy, right? Yeah. And so I'm putting this together because I see it and I'm just like, why are they making this now? Like, why is this even a problem? Or like you said earlier, is it an artificial solution to an artificial problem?
Damn, dude. That's insane, dude.
I don't know.
All right, let's go to our studies. The first study is we cannot be replaced.
Oh, yeah.
So technology alone... This is about out of Northwestern University, by the way. Technology alone cannot replace human touch to produce meaningful weight loss and obesity treatment, reports in a new study. Giving people technology alone for the initial phase of obesity treatment produces unacceptable worse weight loss than giving the treatment that combines technology with human coach. So I'm going to explain why. We're still human. We need human interactions. And it goes back to like what you were talking about. We
just talked about it.
Is this ability to read beyond, you know, issues of your calories. What is your workouts like? No, that coaches talk about, hey, what's going on in your life? How can we make your life less stressful? How can we create a routine for you? These things are not going to happen by technology. They can't adapt yet to you as a human and give you the best advice as a coach.
It's really interesting because if technology was enough, we wouldn't have any problems anymore. You can get continuous glucose monitors. You can get every calorie counting app there is.
Got one right here. Technology on my wrist.
Yeah. You can. There's medication now. You know what I mean? There's Ozempic. There's testosterone replacement. You can go to ChatGPT and say, write me a program for big legs, you know, and it'll do it. But for some reason, right, we can't replicate the weight loss in the same way. I think it's maybe it's lack of education, right? Maybe people don't know how to utilize the technology. So you need a professional that does, right? Maybe, like you said, it is just that connection. How many times, dude, do you have clients who come in and the whole time they're just like venting? It's like a therapy session, right? And it's funny because I'll talk about that and I have clients who will be like, I'm sorry that I always come in here and do this or whatever. And I'm like, honestly, to me, this is part of the training session. This is part of the stress relief, right? This is part of the reconnection. This is the part of processing your life, right? And all of these things that go into health and fitness. And we're just doing it in the gym setting. You're just working out at the same time, which honestly is probably also a good thing, right? Yeah. To communicate those two things
trainers
together.
Get paid nothing for being therapists.
Yeah, man. Oh man, dude.
Fitness educators. Some trainers are like almost PTs like us.
Yeah, dude. And it's like you're doing so many different aspects of the job that, you know, I can't just go and have some sort of technology that can do all of those things. You know what I mean? I can't, you know, because I don't know if you heard of the Whoop band.
Yep.
So that one, and so that one, like it's funny. It has like a stress meter and like an anxiety meter and all of these other things. And I've had friends who have them and I'll ask them like, what does that mean? Like when it says anxiety is at like a 3, like what does that mean? They're like, I don't really know, you know, like it just like says it and it just means my anxiety is high. Like, how does that interact with my life? Like, how does that interact with my training today? It doesn't say like, hey, bring your intensity down now or do this, or maybe we should change your training today. You know what I mean?
But not only that, data doesn't let people relax, right? Sometimes data is negative.
Yeah.
So that's why we talk to people about just focus on these habits, focus on these things, because they're going to see their weight in the scale, they're going to get stressed. They're going to see that they're not getting stronger and they're going to stress. And we talk about, let's focus on habits. Let's go shift from this ideology into this ideology of exercising. Let's do something that allows you to be successful. Let's focus on your sleep just now.
Yeah.
How many times the app's going to say, hey, your REM sleep is not this high, and then you're going to try to sleep harder, and therefore you're actually making it worse.
Fucking sleeping so hard right now, dude. Sleeping good.
All right, so the second one is about American psychological association. If you tend to do other things to get distracted while eating dinner, you may be running the risk of over-consuming everyday pleasures later, possibly because the distraction caused you to enjoy yourself less, according to new research.
Whoa. So not just in food, but in all activities, huh?
Yep.
Because you're looking for like the satisfaction.
Yeah.
Whoa, dude. I've never thought of it that way. So... yeah, what the heck? Yeah. So, and it's funny because think about all day how long we're distracted by our phones, right? By media, by whatever it is, right? So you're never truly enjoying any part of life.
So me and Amanda were talking about how much we enjoyed this weekend. We went swimming at the pool here,
dude. Yeah,
with people. Then we went to my brother-in-law swimming. We're like, it was so cool not to be on our phone,
dude.
And it was amazing. I felt so great and rejuvenated.
Same thing. Like when we would go out and eat and stuff like that, I would turn my phone off and I would just leave it off. And there were so many times, dude, where I was like, oh, I'm going to take a picture of my food. And then I was like, oh, fuck, my phone is off. And so I'll just put it down. And like so many things, you're like you're constantly not in the moment.
You're borrowing pleasure.
You're borrowing time. Yeah. From the next day. Right. Yeah. We talked about that on our secret interview.
Yeah.
It's like, it really is so weird, dude, because so I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were talking about phones and how they had done a study where they were trying to prove that when you use your phone, you get the same brainwave activity as someone who uses a drug when you're addicted. But what they found is that it wasn't the same as when you got the drug. It was more similar to being in love.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't similar to being addicted, but you were getting that same feeling of love and that you would get by using your phone. So you're constantly trying to look for that, right? That's what we do all day, right?
That's why you see people.
Looking for it. Like, where is it? I need it. You know what I mean? It's not so much that addiction to it, but it's a different level, dude. And so you're constantly being distracted from life itself. Then no wonder we're always, like, oh man, I'm going off into a tangent here, but it's like the other day when we were at the in Galveston, there's this park called Pleasure Pier, which is like a boardwalk amusement park thing. And dude, I remember there was like this giant, like super high swing thing that like swung around over the ocean and shit. And like I had a moment where I'm afraid of heights right now, I'll be honest. But I was also sitting there thinking like, why do we need to be that thrilled? Like, why do I need to be hung?
I think about that with scary movies.
Yeah, why do I need to be 200 feet in the air fucking flying around over the ocean? Like, why is that finally? And then you're going to go ride the roller coaster next. And then you're going to go ride this next. So you're like, I'm like, do we really need to be fucking this entertained all the goddamn time?
Did you not watch Gladiator? Are you not entertained?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing it since back then, right? Yeah. Like, it's just so weird, man. It's just so weird.
All right, guys, before we go to the fitness questions, you can find us on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Also, we're on YouTube. Leave a comment down below and subscribe right now. I'm just going to hold a second. All right, that's what I like to hear, the subscribe button. Then, if you're looking for our website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. You're looking for email, strengthsolutionspodcast.com or podcast@gmail.com. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, Strength Solutions Podcast. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, let's go to these fitness questions. First one. Why do I bloat after certain meals but feel fine during other meals? I'm assuming this person eats pretty consistently.
Yeah.
So they kind of know. You know what? Even though things are healthy sometimes, that you may bloat because it doesn't agree with you.
Right. It might just be something that you don't.
I've heard of like bananas for some people or a strawberry.
Corn for you, right?
Yeah. Why you got to bring that up? That's my feelings.
I relate you, bro.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
For me, it's milk.
No,
right?
No, I'd rather have mine than yours. I can't do it without milk. I need me some ice cream.
The other day, I literally ate a whole can of corn. And I was like thinking about you the whole time.
Stupid.
Like, so good.
Well, have all your cream of corn. But can you have ice cream?
Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
Ice cream on top of my brownie.
I'll have corn ice cream. Corn juice. Yeah. I think, and it also might be what you're eating too. So I find that when I don't have enough fiber in my day, every meal fucks me up, dude.
Yeah.
So you might have meals that are higher in fiber, right? When you're eating and you're like, oh, these ones feel fine, but maybe other meals that you have that are maybe higher protein or the type of protein you're intaking or something. I don't know, right? There's a lot of aspects to it, but I would pay attention to what meals, right, make you feel bloated and then what meals don't, and try and decide like what piece of that is it.
Yeah. Guess what? Second question's coming.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if we have the heart to do this now. Second question here. If the goal is to use the barbell at the end, what exercise do you like to start with? So a lot of times people hear me say like the goal is to get to barbell squat, to go to barbell deadlift. And so they're like, well, then what do you start with?
How do I get there?
How do I get there? And this is where I tell people like you do a mix of mobility exercise and unilateral exercises.
Yeah, that's what I would definitely do first, and I think that you could also argue like, okay, well maybe doing a body weight squat or something like that. But even that, dude, sometimes it's too much, right? Maybe the range of motion, maybe they can't get down that low or whatever it is. So I think starting with unilateral exercises is definitely like the most efficient way to get there, right? And to make sure that when you do get there, you're symmetrical, you're not working through another issue already, right? You've already sort of addressed all of the problems you may have so that when you do go into those bigger compound lifts, you're just like ready to hit it. That's how I start all my clients.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is, like we're doing with Fit Academy, is learning how to assess yourself.
Yeah.
I think people don't know how to assess, and then they just start working out, and they're like, well, I'm getting better, but they don't know what really is their limitation. And having a good assessment at the beginning is going to make a huge difference of, like, where do you go and where do you start? I think too many times, maybe someone is ready for the barbell from the beginning.
Yeah.
I have somebody who may be ready for a barbell next week, and they've only been working with me for like 3 weeks.
I was ready for the barbell from day one, bro.
I came out with the wound. But yeah.
I came out doing walking lunges, bro.
Dang, you're strong, baby.
Drinking bottle.
Oh, God. All right. Question number 3. Why do they give what weight you should lift according to your body weight? Does it really matter to squat double your body weight?
Okay, yeah. So this comes from like that sort of idea that, it's kind of like a measure of strength, right? Where they say like squatting double your body weight, benching your body weight,
1.5.
1.5 your body weight, benching body weight, and then deadlifting twice, right? And so,
man, I don't remember.
Regardless, right? We're kind of getting into this where it's like it doesn't really matter, because a lot of times, a lot of my clients, and mostly guys, will be like, "How much should I be able to squat?" And I'm like, I don't know, like kind of whatever you can at the moment is what you should be able to squat, right? Now, do you want to always grow, right? Then yes, right? That's a different question.
But also, is it really necessary to squat double your body weight, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're strong and powerful, but you don't squat double your body weight. Doesn't mean you can't be strong. I mean, look at the parkour guys. I'm pretty sure a lot of them are just good at manipulating their bodies. And it's like, what skill set do you want to have at the end of the day?
Right. At the end of the day, it ends up being like, what is your life like? Right. I think that's what we should look at more in terms of like strength is what is your life like? How much strength do you need in order to live life enjoyably, right? If you like rock climbing or if you like mountain biking, then your strength ratio is going to be different than someone who just wants to be healthy and run around with their kids, right? Do I need to squat double my body weight to do that shit? No, right? Yeah. Not exactly.
That's what I love what we're doing with Strength Solutions here. It's like, what are the nuances? What do you want? Right, I don't want to come up with something for you. You need to think about it, and that's what's going to make you happy at the end of the day.
Right.
Doing double your body weight.
You need to tell me what you want. Right?
I'm going to give you a perfect scenario, dude. Okay, so there's this young kid. We both know him. And he was building his body. He feels really good. And he just kept on getting stronger, stronger. But now he wants to run and do all this stuff. And I talked to him the other day. He's more happy than ever than he's been. He's not chasing this artificial thing. It's something that he wants. He wants to feel more athletic. He wants to feel better.
Yeah.
He's not chasing what he's been told to do. And, I've had this conversation with him like, okay, that's cool, man. If you want to do that, figure out what direction we need to go. How can I help you get you there better?
Yeah.
And he's enjoying it way more and staying fit because of that.
And I think a lot of the times when we get clients in, not all the time, right? But I would say a majority of the time, you get clients in and the goals that they have are not their goals. Mm-hmm. I've said this, right? Where it's these are the goals that they've been told they need to do. Mm-hmm. They've been told they need to squat double their body weight. They've been told they need to be 15% body fat. They've been told they need to have a big ass.
You know what my favorite one is? Like, I want to lose this much weight. And then I ask them, why do you want to lose this much weight? Why do you want to get down to this weight? I think I'll be healthy there, I guess.
Or I think I hear more often, like, I think I'll be happy there.
Oh, I've heard that too.
Yeah. And at that point, I'm having a whole different conversation with you now. Because what the hell did you just say to me? That's super weird. Mm-hmm. Why would you say that? You know? Yeah. Or they'll be like, oh, well, that's when, you know, I do have some people who say like, oh, well, that's when I felt like the best, right? That's when I felt the happiest or the healthiest or whatever. But you're associating a time in your life with the weight that you were.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
That's not exactly why you're happy.
Yeah. If you sit down and think about it, that's a weird thing to do, right? Think you're looking. So this is a funny example, but video games, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times people will have video games that come out, new games or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, these games aren't fun. I missed when I used to play Halo or Call of Duty, or why don't they make games like this anymore? Games now are too blah, 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 blah. And one time I saw this comment, just a random guy, but it stuck with me forever. And he was like, you're not looking for a game that's better. You're looking for the times that you had when you played those old games. Mm-hmm. You're looking for a time when you were laughing with your friends, and you're trying to replicate that time again. And it has nothing to do with the video game, but you just missing some nostalgic life point, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing here. You're not missing the weight. The weight wasn't the reason you were happy back then. Maybe it was a part of it, right? Maybe you were healthier, right? Maybe you were doing more with your kids or something like that, but that's not really what it is, right? Take a look more into all the other aspects of it.
Yeah. Last question. Why is it harder for women to lose weight compared to men?
Because guys are just better, stronger,
just stronger.
Oh my God. Stop the podcast. Stop it.
Whoop, canceled. The truth. The reason is we have this hormone called testosterone we have more of, which helps you be more anabolic, right? That's one reason.
It's in the balls.
Also, men tend to be bigger, Steve. Oh my God. The next one is because you're looking at weight. And you're not thinking about weight. There's a lot of water in the body.
Yeah.
So if I lose initial 10 pounds and you lose initial 5, I'm pretty sure we probably just both lost like water.
Right. So thinking about the composition of the weight loss, right? Yeah.
And that's completely different as well.
Yeah. There's just a lot of difference, right? You're literally not the same creature. You're a whole different animal, a whole different
start being. At a higher weight, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have more body fat percentage, right? These are just things that are different, and that's just the way it is.
Also,
right?
I mean, if you think about it, it's a protective mechanism too to not lose weight a lot for fertility reasons. You got to think about evolutionary history, and that men they're fertile regardless of the situation, right? For the most part, and women need to carry a baby. If you were able to lose weight really fast, well, then you would never be pregnant. Humans wouldn't exist today.
Counterintuitive to what your body needs to do.
I think we don't think about that very often. I mean, I was listening to a podcast about like the reason why there's more people with autism today is because autism people have the capability to get more pregnant. So he worked at Silicon Valley, and two people who don't have social skills all of a sudden hooked up, and then they have an autistic kid. It's because not the vaccine, but because there's more people who have that gene. And then not only that, if you see it as a bad thing, it may not be a bad thing because these people are probably really good workers, very focused. Maybe they had a specialty in something they did, or let's say ADHD is more prevalent today, right? In ADD. But back then, it was a good thing for that person to search, explore, have this like a curiosity and go beyond the place, right? Yeah. So all these traits are not negative. They're just all different, just like men versus women. We're just different. And we have to say we're not equal. Everybody's different. Regardless, me and Nathaniel grew up in two different situations. Yeah. It goes back to nuance. Nuance. All right, guys, if you like what we're doing, you could please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Then you can check us out on YouTube. You can leave a comment down below. Also, subscribe. That'll help tremendously. Then if you're looking for a website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Then if you're looking for an email, strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, it's Strength Solutions Podcast. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Until next time, guys, what?